Blessings and namaste, everyone. I'm spiritualist, psychic astrologer, and medium Ray Seti. Thank you for offering me this opportunity to share with you some of my spiritual as well as astrological insights as to what is unfolding in our world right now. I'd like to address fear which interferes. Today is March 13th, and we have just experienced a full moon in Virgo. This last full moon on March 9th triggered the Virgo Pisces axis. The full moon was in Virgo, the sun was in the sign of Pisces, and alongside the sun was the planet Neptune. I just want to touch upon these things and perhaps give a little bit more insight as to dynamic of how all this works. I'm not here to give you astrology lessons, just to share with you what I use as points of reference from what I decipher through astrological charts, as well as what I'm being given from spirit. The Pisces Virgo polarity. Polarities are two elements which are at opposite ends of the spectrum. Virgo opposes Pisces. As a full moon alignment, when two things oppose one another or are in opposition to one another. The Virgo Pisces polarity connects with fear and trust. Virgo can represent fear, Pisces trust, as well as spiritual and perfect, profound love. This last full moon certainly released an inordinate amount of fear into the world. Now, whenever something is being released, it's a cleansing experience. A full moon is a time of cleansing, releasing, purging. When something like this is being released, many times we misinterpret the experience, and instead of fully clearing, cleansing, and releasing the elements, such as fear, we direct too much of our attention towards that element, and instead of releasing what we're being given an opportunity to let go of, we reinforce what it is that is being cleansed. Whenever I observe an individual having an experience where certain fears are coming to the surface, bubbling to the surface, it's doing so because it needs to be released. And I inspire the individual to observe the situation, be very aware of what's happening. I believe it was Wayne Dyer who would always suggest for us to recognize, become curious about a fear. Detach yourself from the fear, not my fear, the fear. And by doing so, it allows you to separate yourself from the experience. Observe what is coming to the surface and allow yourself to lovingly release it. You see, much of the muck that was deeply embedded in the collective consciousness of humanity has been released. This release, specifically of fear, has been in play for quite a few years now. And this last full moon, because the moon not only formed in opposition to the sun in Pisces, we also had the element of Neptune in Pisces alongside the sun. So that release of fear was even much more so. Neptune and Pisces represent that which exists within the subconsciousness, that which exists very deep within ourselves. It's also our connection to spirit and the spirit realm. Through these most unprecedented times, we are being offered opportunities to very much recognize our own personal, unique connection with the spirit realm. Connecting with spirit isn't a supernatural superpower. It's actually very natural for us to interact and connect with the spirit realm. We're just not conventionally taught to recognize those connections, specifically by conventional media. So something else would have power over us, and we're not offered the inspiration to recognize the power that we have within ourselves. You see, we are we are very much coming to a time of a great awakening. And the Great Awakening has two parts to it. The first part is on a personal level. Every one of us is being inspired to awaken to the greatest potential that exists within every one of us, that is very personal and very unique. One of the many intentions for me writing my book was to inspire us all to recognize our greatest human potential that is very personal and very specific to who it is that we are. Whenever I looked at an astrological chart and I worked with clients, I always observed the astrological chart to be our spiritual DNA. That composition is as unique as a snowflake. Even twins, because they're not born at the exact same moment, the charts can be different. They may not necessarily be dramatically different. Sometimes they are. And there is a difference in those charts, offering the uniqueness to our human individuality. And when we recognize the greatest potentials of that chart and how to demonstrate all of that energy, how to bring to form that energy, it allows us to experience a human condition that is much more joyful, much more peaceful. That does not suggest that we will never have challenges, for those challenges do offer us opportunities to recognize our greatness. Specifically, since about 2014, every one of us here in the United States have been offered the opportunity to empower ourselves and to know our power. And whenever I suggest that we recognize this innate power, and I refer to it the innate power of evolutionary creative divinity, I inspire everyone to recognize that and demonstrate it from a place of love and humility, not ego, greed, or entitlement. When we connect with the latter, then we're not necessarily serving a greater purpose for the highest good and for the all of humanity. These times that we're in right now, we're very much being given yet another opportunity to awaken. We are on the cusp of a great awakening personally to our own greatest potential, as well as collectively, specifically here in the United States. We are awakening to the revelation, because we are in the times of revelations and the apocalypse. We are awakening to the revelation, which means to reveal. Both revelations and apocalypse means to reveal, not necessarily to destroy, as we are conventionally taught. We're conventionally taught the revelations and the apocalypse connects with destruction, whereas in fact there is some truth to that, because what is really being dissolved is the misleadings, the mistruths, how for thousands of years we've been misinformed by the powers that be. Misinformed, so the powers that be can control us, and we end up fortifying their bank accounts. They instill fear through various tactics, such as the media, which is one of their most effective tools up until this point. Many are awakening to the fact that we've been erroneously misinformed through the media. Misinformed so as to keep everyone in a compromised state of intellectual well-being. Again, so that someone else is able to have power over us, to control us, so that we give away our power, give away our money. This does not mean that we are to exist in a place of entitlement. We are being inspired to embrace the element of love in all things. In these next few months, specifically with the new moon that we have on March 24th and the full moon on April 7th, those 2 weeks are critical turning points, because they are activating and triggering the energies of the Eclipse series that we have in June and July. And what I'm specifically addressing is the solar eclipse we have on June 21st, which coincides with the summer solstice, and the lunar eclipse on July 4th and 5th, which coincides with the birthday of the United States. The June 21st solar eclipse is at the early degree, 0 degree mark of the sign of Cancer. The 0 degrees of what's referred to as the cardinal signs. The cardinal signs are the signs which begin each season, such as Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. The 0 point is what is referred to as the world point. When that energy is activated, there are global shifts in consciousness which take place. At this time, this is a shift towards higher consciousness, higher awakening. And what's very similar with the Eclipse series that are taking place during this year of 2020, they're very similar to the Eclipse series which took place in 2001. Specifically with the energy that led up to the events which unfolded on September 11th of 2001. As I observe it to be so, and as I understand it, leading up to the year 2001, in 1999, in the years 2000, I understand that we were about to embark upon a golden age. We were about to embark upon a time where every one of us would, for one, connect with abundance, especially financially, personal and physical well-being. It was to be a time of a shift towards higher consciousness, an awakening to brotherhood, humanitarianism, to oneness. And the shadow forces understood what was happening. So what did they do? They created an event which instilled, yet again, an inordinate amount of fear. And what happened? We gave away our power. We gave the powers that be basically a blank check to do whatever they want so that they can continue inflicting their power upon us. And in the name of national security, we allowed them to do whatever it is that they wanted. And look what happened over these last 19, almost 20 years, how we've just given away our power. Another shift happened in 2008 when we experienced what they refer to as the Great Recession, which was also another tactic by the powers that be to keep everyone in a condition of fear. Look what happened also during that time, how the quality of products began to diminish. However, the prices of everything began to continually inflate. And no one really seemed to question any of this. Once again, by not questioning, we give away our power. And once again, I cannot emphasize this enough. When I inspire us to recognize our power, it does not suggest that we are unlawful, that we are unruly, that we do not pay for what we need and what we use, that we inflict our control and power over another. This is for us to take control of our lives. Also, too, so that we don't give away our power, and that we recognize that whatever it is that is required for us is already within ourselves. We have also certainly given away our power to doctors and the pharmaceutical industry, to large corporations, all of those elements, the large corporations, the pharmaceutical industries. Conventional medicine will not have a place in the coming times. Also, all of those conglomerates are embarking upon their last-ditch efforts to maintain whatever possible control that they can have over us. This does not mean that we do not become mindful, that we are not to be mindful of our self-care, all the energy that we set in motion that may either inspire another or perhaps harm another. We harm none. We are very aware of all the energy that we send out will absolutely return to us. The experience we're having right now with this virus situation, I'm not in any sort of way undermining the significance, how upsetting this can be. However, I do inspire us to recognize when the body is supported properly, it has been designed to fight off infection. The thing is, we do not fortify the experience of the body's natural functions. We need to nourish the body with high vibrational foods, plant-based foods. Remember, a plant will consume sunlight so that it can grow and blossom. Whenever we eat and consume plant-based foods, we're consuming sunlight. Just imagine how that nourishes the physical form and supports the physical form. Through thoughts of love, joy, that also assists the body to maintain its shield against all infection, whether physical or even energetically, etherically. We have an auric field that is very similar to the magnetic field of the Earth. And just as that magnetic field shields away particles of debris and that which can harm the Earth, our aura field does just the same. However, when we are in a low vibrational state, that aura becomes compromised. There are many modalities which can fortify and, can support and strengthen and heal the aura as well. I always suggest to explore whatever may resonate for you on a personal level to support yourself physically as well as spiritually. Remember, we are coming to a time of a great awakening, and those forces that are losing their control over us are attempting their last-ditch efforts to maintain their control by planting the seeds of fear. These forces fully understand how the creative process operates. Spirit, nothing can interfere with our free will unless we allow it to do so. The spirit realm doesn't interfere with our free will. It will inspire us, it will guide us and direct us, but it can't make us do something for our greatest good. It cannot interfere with our free will. The powers that be, those dark forces, understand that it can't interfere with the free will of humanity. So what does it do? They will plant tiny seeds of fear in the consciousness of the collective and allow we the people to do its dirty work by engaging in panic and bedlam. And then inadvertently, by proxy, we are doing the dirty work, if you will, of those dark forces. This is not to say that we exist in a place of bliss, misinformation, not knowing. Spirit will guide us. Spirit will share with us whatever information is necessary for our survival and our well-being. We just have to listen. I've said this many times. It was Archangel Michael who suggests for us to recognize and inspires us. Spirit will guide you. The earth will sustain you. Spirit, not the misinformation through the diabolical media, will guide you. The earth, not pharmaceuticals, will sustain you. All that is required for us to live in peace, joy, balance, harmony, love, abundance, well-being is at our fingertips, and we are awakening to this information. And because we are awakening, the powers that be desire once again to instill a tremendous amount of fear. We cannot give them the power to do so. By being, not doing, by being in a place of love every day, we dissolve that energy. As I said, we are coming to the end of the large corporations, big pharma, organized religion, leaders who only desire to fortify their own bank accounts. We are coming to a time where the possibility of all debts are to be forgiven. This is why those forces are quaking in their boots, because they can see what's coming. They know that there's a shift coming. I've also inspired us to recognize that whoever we believe the enemy to be really is not the enemy. And the most effective tactic of the real enemy is to shine the spotlight on someone else and make it seem like someone else is doing the dirty work to divert our attention from itself. Keep all of this in mind. Remember, I always emphasize that whatever I share with you is not absolute. And I also inspire you to recognize what you might believe to be true is also not absolute. We live in the world of the relative. Once we transition from this realm to the higher realms, then we exist, I believe, in the world of the absolute, which is all-encompassing love. And that does not mean that we can't enjoy that experience while we are here now. We are embarking upon a golden age. We are, as we say, 3 feet from gold, and we cannot give up at the last minute. Every day, as difficult as it is, and I can appreciate the challenges which are presented to us right now. They may be challenges, but they're not insurmountable. It's based upon our intention as to how we will rise above these experiences. Every day, whatever tools that you can employ to keep yourself peaceful, embrace it. For example, before I even get out of bed in the morning, I count 12 blessings that I am so very, very grateful for. I get up, I get out of bed, I conduct my meditation, and for about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on my schedule, I actually will listen to spiritual, inspirational messages on YouTube. I also make sure that I don't keep my phone near me. I use a Bluetooth speaker, so I'm removed from the electronics. And then I begin my day. And in the middle of the day, I also engage upon a short meditation where perhaps I will say some mantras. At the end of the day, I always suggest at least if you can, an hour before bed, more so 2 hours before you go to bed, give yourself time to start winding down. Detach from all the electronics as much as you possibly can. Surround your home with very low, peaceful lighting. At the nighttime, I generally only use salt lamps in my home, which the salt lamps also do help to radiate a peacefulness in the home. And before going to bed, I again listen to spiritual, inspirational messages so that I bring with me very positive energy into sleep. I'm keeping these suggestions very, very simple. I don't want to take too much time, but there's so much information out there. I've always suggested the Spiritual Clearings books by my friend and colleague Diana Burney, which offer many very simple techniques that you can use to energetically clear yourself, keep yourself very peaceful. Remember, we are at the cusp of a grand awakening, and we cannot give up right before we turn that corner. As I said, these next few months can be very unusual, and I inspire us to detach as much as we can from those fear elements in the outer world. Spirit will reveal itself. The awakening will happen. How it's actually going to happen, that I am not clear of. I do offer a suggested possibility as to how this may unfold. Some may be familiar with the 1951 film, the 1951 film, not the 2008, the 1951 film, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Also, if those of us who remember the film, the I think it was 75 or 76 film, Close Encounters, that might be another possibility as to what it is that we are being derailed from. Remember, in the film Close Encounters, the virus scene, how it really was fabricated to keep people away from something? I'm not to say that's going to happen. I know that might sound a little out there, but stranger things have happened. We shall see. Remember, We are creating and co-creating all. Whatever happens in the outside world is a direct reflection of what is dwelling in the collective unconsciousness of humanity. If we desire to observe peace and love in the outside world, we need to create that within ourselves first. I'm keeping things very, very simple, and my desire in creating this material is to inspire you to recognize your power, to be in the world and not of it. Being peaceful doesn't mean that it's going to be peaceful out there. A spiritual master will observe the chaos in the outside world and demonstrate itself as the eye, the center of a hurricane, when all the chaos goes on around us and we remain peaceful. It may not necessarily be an easy task. It's not impossible, yet it's not insurmountable. It all is based upon intention, and it begins with intention. As difficult as it is, remain peaceful, remain grounded, turn off the news. It was in 2008, I believe, when I completely stopped listening to the news, because I began to realize at the time how much misinformation and confusion was being generated through that platform. So much these days we hear about fake news. That's nothing new. We've known about this for a very, very, very long time. I always say that I don't watch the news, and I'm still very aware of all the miscreations of humanity. And I inspire you to recognize, if what I share with you resonates with you, that is wonderful. And if it does not reverberate with you, that is also magnificent. I'm here to share with you what I have come to know, recognize, and understand through my own trials and tribulations. In order for me to share with you my knowing, I had to walk through the fire myself. I have had to run into burning buildings and know and embrace what I share with you, so that I can share it with you from a place of love and conviction. And I inspire you to recognize everything you need, it's already inside of you. Just know it from a place of love. Be quiet. Be peaceful. Be very gentle with yourself. And let's be very gentle with each other, our earth. I send everyone many, many blessings. And may you be blessed by the supreme love of the cosmos. Namaste, and I will see you again very soon.